Guys, welcome to this video. We're gonna build together a burger app from scratch, and your burger app is going to have the following functionality. You can add a burger called testing, and if you do so, once you add it, you can feel free to add it to your favorite burger. And if you head over the favorite tag, you should be able to see all your favorite burger, including the one that you just added. You can go head over the view all burgers, and once again, if you do so, you can see all your burger, including your favorite burger, on the favorite burger, and you can feel free to delete the new one you added. And if you do so, of course, you won't be able to see it everywhere, including you no longer see it under your favorite burgers, and you should not be able to see it under here as well. So this is the application that we're gonna build. In order for us to build this, we do require to have the following required skills: or some basic understanding of MySQL. We're going to use MySQL to store all our data about the burger into our MySQL database. And also, we do require for you to have some Express basic knowledge. We're going to use Express as our web application framework. We're going to use jQuery on the front end to do a lot of selecting and clicking. So make sure you do have some familiarity with jQuery. And we're going to use Express Handlebar. Of course, this is a Handlebar application. Make sure you have it. If you haven't followed my playlist about Handlebar, I would highly recommend it. If not, this won't make much sense for you. And of course, you need to have an understanding of Node.js. Before we do anything else, let's just get our hands dirty. npm init to start initialize a packet.json. The dash y will technically make sure you do not answer, you automatically answer to any question. And there you go. We have a packet.json generated for us, and make sure that this is all lowercase. Otherwise, packet.json will be complained. First thing first, let's create a file called server.js, and that server.js, this is where we're going to do every single configuration. All right, so we're going to need a total of 5 packages we need to install. First one called Express, second one called Express.handlebar, and third, it's something called method override. We're going to go over this in a second. And then override, and then the last, the fourth one is MySQL. And then the last one is something called body parser. And make sure we use the dash capital S. And what this will do is they will technically add a keyword called a key called dependency, and we'll dump all our packages within this keyword, which is fantastic. All right, guys, once this is all done, we're going to go over what every single things are doing. But in order for me to do this, I'm technically going to go ahead and import all these 4 packages inside my server.js. And there you go. As you guys can see, I'm importing express.js. I'm importing method override. I'm importing packet but in all these packages as well. So once we got all this configured, we're going to go ahead and configure, or AKA configure these packages we all install. First thing that I'm doing is I'm configuring body parser over here, as you guys can see, and I'm also configured as a JSON as well. And here I'm configured method override as well. The only thing that we need to do is configure the Express Handlebar. Once again, I'm gonna go ahead and copy some code I had, and there you go, guys. We now configured our Express Handlebar. All right, so once this is all good, the only thing we need to do is now I'm gonna define a variable called port. I'm gonna add this port over here. And before that, remember, we've done everything so far, but we don't have an Express application. In order for us to define an Express application, we need to do app and then call the Express keyword, which is, where is it? Which is this one here. And that will technically define our Express application. And that's why all these things are available. All right, so once everything's configured, this is everything we need to do. And now we can go ahead and start our server. And let's go ahead and do that right now. And as you guys can see, I do app.listen and get the port, and now our server is listening on port, whatever port we are currently using, which is 9001. Cool, this is all great. Once again, we configure all this jazz and ready to go. All right, so once this is done, we're gonna create a route called routes, and within this one, we're gonna create something called Handlars.js, and this is where we technically gonna configure our route to be using the Express router. So let's go ahead and do that. We need the Express router in order to do this. So first thing first, import Express, and then we're gonna bring the router in order for us to configure it. Now the only thing we need to do is once we import this router, we need to export the router as so. All right, and now we can start having different routes as you guys can see. So we're gonna go ahead and add a route, and here we're gonna add a route like this. How about that? We do router.get, and we set up a route to be the home page, and let's set up some message just for you guys to see what we're working with. And then we can say hello world. There you go. Let's try to run this, and that should be able to run and do hello world. But before this, once we kind of configure all of these things, the other thing that we also need to do is we're gonna head over our server.js, and then we're gonna import this route over here, and the location is located over routes, /routes, and then /handlers. This is where our route is located. And after you import the route, we also need to configure it right after the handlebar by doing app.use/ and then the routes, whatever you name it. We call this one route, and we configure it like this. This is everything you need to do. And now if we head over the main page, if we refresh, we should be able to see our message hello world, and that message is coming from our handler over here as well. All right, so let's go ahead and configure our MySQL that we had. I'm going to create a folder called config, and within this config, I'm going to create something called connection. And then once again, guys, just for something fast, I'm gonna go ahead and bring some of the default code I had, which I'm gonna technically paste them here. I'm requiring MySQL, define some connection, and then within the connection itself, I'm gonna do something different. And what I'm gonna do within this connection, I'm gonna add these lines of code, and what this will do is this will technically go ahead and bring the MySQL, create a connection, and this will technically locate the information for our database. We're looking for a host called localhost, a user called root user, and a database called burger.js. And once we have this, the only thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that we call connection.connect, and this will technically connect with our database. And now we can make sure that every single this connection is now available, and then we can import it every single places that we need it to, which is technically pretty awesome. That's all good. That's everything we need to do. And if you guys don't know where to get this information, head over where we have Workbench. I'm using Workbench, and head over management. And if you go over users and privilege, you should be able to see all your username. And then this is where you can see your database. My database, it's something called burgers-db. This is what I'm having over here, including my user and local host. All right, so once this is done, the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a file called orm.js, and this is where technically I'm gonna add all my database query. This is what I'm gonna query my database, either adding something, deleted something, updated something. This is where everything is going to be located. So I'm gonna add bring this connection that we just defined here. In this case, we're talking about this connection. Let's close all these files for you guys to see. All right, here's the connection. We go over ORM, and we are importing this connection right there. And now I'm gonna define a variable called ORM, and I'm gonna have an object. And within this object, I'm gonna make sure that I'm exporting this object right here, and this is called ORM. Now the first query that we're going to have, and for some of you guys, if you don't know where I'm getting all of this information, this is where I'm getting all the MySQL connection thing. I set it over here, and this is, I need some query. So I'm gonna head over here, and this is where I'm gonna be getting all this query. All right, so in order for me to get this query within this function, I'm gonna have a function called select all. And that's this whole idea behind this function is it's gonna go into my database and query all my database, all the data within my database under a table called restaurant burger. Now I don't have the table yet. I'm gonna head over my database and go here into my actually my schema, and over my, let's see what's happening over here. Give me 1 second. Go over startup. And now this is the command. I'll make this code available for you guys. You can feel free to go and see how we created it, but this will technically create a table for me called burger, and now have this table created with this code. Cool, fantastic. All right, so once this table is creating, I'm now creating all the table in case there's an error. Now with this function called select all, I'm going to pass a callback, and this callback is going to be in case there's an error, I want to make this error available as the first param, which means if I head over the handler and bring this ORM over here, which is located, oops, sorry. Oops. It's located over config ORM. Sorry guys. Oops. Let me spell it again. There you go. All right, now if I go over here, instead of sending this JSON, I can do ORM that's select all, and now it will take a callback, and this callback gonna have two param. The first one is the error, and I can do an if logic. Technically, I can I can do some sort of if logic and say, hey buddy, if there is an error, then return this error, or maybe just return a JSON error, like something random, like we're gonna return it with a status 501.json, something like this. And then we can even send a message, and we can say, something like not able to query the database. That's everything we're doing. Now if there is not an error, of course we can feel free to render something here, which we're gonna render our template handlebar. Now the question is, do we have a template? No, we don't have, but we've configured handlebar. We've configured handlebar. The only thing is we don't have the template yet. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's get the template done. Inside of your folder, I need another folder called layout, and inside this layout, I need a file called main.handlebars. There you go. Now I'm gonna also have some template, just I'm gonna walk you guys to what this template is doing, but I'm gonna technically go ahead here and paste this template down here. What is this doing? Well, here's what it's doing. It's first importing Bootstrap. If you guys don't know where Bootstrap is located, there you go. This is all imported Bootstrap down here. Let's head over the Bootstrap link. This is where I'm getting all this link and drop it down here. That's what this is doing. And I'm also getting I don't need this Bootstrap latest JavaScript. This is technically referring to this one. I don't need this one because I'm not gonna do any JavaScript. And this one also is looking for the jQuery. So I'm getting this jQuery links down here. This is the link that I'm getting from the jQuery link. So make sure you guys can get these. It doesn't matter about the version, but whichever version you feel more comfortable to, this is what this is doing. And make sure we also need this as well. This is what everything's doing so far. Cool. All right, so we have our main that handlebars template created, and we can create our index template now. And we can also create different other template. I'm gonna create one called all burgers that handlebars. I'm gonna, oops, I misspelled this one. Cool, and I'm gonna create another one called favorite.handlebars. All right, I got 3 templates so far. And now the only thing that I need to do, and back to where we were doing, is we're over the handlers. And remember, we're gonna select everything into our database. If there is an error, do this. If there is not an error, then render our template handlebar for now. Okay, and inside our template handlebar, we're gonna say, hello world, I am the index handlebars, which is, all right, cool. And let's see what happened. Refresh this one. And there you go, guys. As you guys can see, I'm now seeing the hello world, I am the index.handlebar. So our handlebars is successfully configured. But the one thing that we also need, remember, where is it? The handlers, it's getting a lot of burger files. Let's console log these and see what happened. Burgers, we should be able to list them. Remember, this is returning a lot of burgers. All right, this is us querying our database and get all these burgers that is inside our database. Well, what does that mean? That means when we query our database, if we head over our database over here, our burger here, oops, you see all these burgers, it's getting them by querying this database. Now, if you guys remember inside the ORM, this is how we were querying this database and making this value available over our callback. The first param is in case there's an error. The second one is if in case there's data. For now, in error case, the data is equal to null. If there's no error, then the data is equal to the data that we are getting back from our database. Long story short is we now doing this, which we're now getting all this burger. What if we can send all these burger down to the index.handlebar? Okay, and once we get all these burger, now we can go here inside our handlebar. We're gonna do a for loop, and that we're gonna loop over the burger, and we're gonna close that each. And after we loop over every single burger, look at the burger object. Here's the object. Remember, this is an array, so it is an array. Inside that array, there's an object. Inside that object, there's the burger name. So we can just do, let's display the P as the burger. We can just say burger name like that, and this will technically get whatever value the key burger name is holding. And we can do the same thing for ID. We can do the same for ID as well. ID, here's the ID. And then what else? We can do the same for is favorite, and that's gonna display whatever value the is favorite is displaying. And let's actually go and see how this look. Of course, this won't look as great. As you guys can see, this is equal to testing, mango, whatever this is equal to. But we're gonna do something different. Instead of having this value, I'm gonna copy some HTML I had, and what this is gonna do is this gonna technically replace them here. All right, so here's what we got right now. We got a class with container, content, h2, and then we're gonna hold on to this one for now. And then we're gonna actually see this one and what this is doing. Before we can even see this one here, I'm gonna go here and technically copy all of this and paste this one in here. So after we loop over the burger, and I'm gonna technically do all these HTML code. This is the same thing we're doing. We're getting the burger name. We check in and see if this is something, then do on favorite, and if this is not, do something else. But once again, guys, we review the Express Handlebars session I did. You'll learn everything about the if logic. Let's see how this look now. How about that? More a little bit fancy, more looking, but let's do one last thing. Let's add some CSS, okay? Head over our handlebar files. We're gonna have different CSS thing. Look in here. I'm gonna create a folder called public. Within the public, I'm gonna create another folder called CSS. And within this CSS, I'm gonna have 4 different CSS files. I'm gonna have one called all CSS. That's gonna be responsible for the all layout. I'm gonna have another one called index.css, and I'm gonna add another one called main.css. I'm gonna add another one called favorite.css, which is awesome. Now we have all this CSS. How can we render it per session? The same way we were rendering the burger, we can add an extra property called style, and then we give it the CSS name that we want it to display. In this case, I wanted to display the index CSS. And now once this is done, we need to head over to our main layout again. And here I'm gonna add a link. And this link is gonna refer to CSS slash, and then the name of our CSS files. Remember, we are sending the name as a key property called style. Now we can head over here and access it like this, style, which gonna be whatever name that we pass it. Currently, we are passing a name called index. That's gonna technically inherit from the index that's technically gonna be index, whatever value that we pass it, which gonna be dynamic to equal to the CSS that we're passing it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add some CSS. I already did, guys. I'm not gonna go over all of this. But the bottom line is you can feel free to add your own CSS as you like, style it however you want to. The goal behind this is to kind of show you guys how to build this, how to set up the connection and everything, okay? All right, so let's see how our CSS look like. Of course, one last thing, the reason that the CSS is not working is because there's one last thing I need to do. I need to head over to server.js, and now I need to do app.use and express.static, and there you go. Now I'm going to be setting the public folder. In this case, it's going to be equal to this public folder, and now our CSS should be working. Okay, let's find out. And as you guys can see, this is how it looks for so far, and things are looking as expected. The only thing that we're missing is we're missing some images. So I'm going to create a folder inside a public called images. Oops, not inside this. Oops, inside a public called images. And of course, I'm going to be adding some images over there. And I'm going to be adding some images. You guys will technically see them shortly. All right, guys, now I have all my images installed. Put into this folder. Of course, we won't be able to see it here, but let's load the app again and see how it looks. And there you go. As you guys can see, this is how the application looks for now. All right, so let's review everything we talk about before we go any further. We technically import all these packages and configure them over here, and then we define some variable and start in our Express application, and then we start our server here, and this is where we are configure handlebar with just 3 lines of code. After we configure handlebar, we define a folder called view, and this is where all our view is located. All right, once handlebar is configured, and then we head over the config file, which gonna configure our database. We make this value available, and now we can start querying our database by using an ORM, which have a key value pair here. This is how we can access to it by just doing ORM.select all, and that will select everything and get it into our database and make it available over a callback. Okay. All right, so this all sounds good and might be confusing, but the bottom line is all this is doing is going and get value into our database and make it available over this function. And here's how this function look like. If we head over routes, and this is how this function looks like with the 2 value we passed it. The first value was the error. Now let's see the error, and you see that this is the first value. When there is an error, it's equal to something. When there's not an error, it's not equal to anything. It's null. And this is the data value. And here's the data value here. That's the burger. And then this is now is equal to null when there's an error, and it's equal to something when there is value. Cool. All right, everything now is looking good. We only need the fact to add a burger. So let's go ahead and add another key property, and this one is going to be responsible to add the burger inside our database. Okay, so once again, this entire function is going to be responsible, and we're gonna call this one insert one. And this is gonna be a function, and this function again gonna take 2 parameters, one called burger name, and the second one is gonna be a callback. And of course, we can copy and paste some of the query that we're going to run to add something into our database. Now this is the query that's going to add something into our database, and it's called insert into our database name, and this is the value, the key whatever column row, and this is the value that's going to be injecting into our database. And we take that variable that hold the query, and then we paste it over here. And once again, here's our callback scenario that's going to be handling either 2 cases, yes or no. All right, so in order to add a data, go back into the handler. We're going to add another route. This route is going to be a post route, and we're going to call this one /add. And of course, we're gonna set request param, and here we're gonna do some logic just for us to be able to add some data. All right, first thing first, remember we installed body parser earlier in this section that will be able to make things available over the request.body. So I'm gonna first thing first grab the burger name that's gonna be coming over the baggie. I'm gonna expect it to be coming as burger dash name, and I'm also gonna get I don't need to get the is favorite because by default I'm setting the is favorite as false. Now remember these things that we make it available on how to insert things into our database over this insert one value. I'm gonna use it now. I'm gonna say all right, ORM that insert one. Remember this one itself takes two param over here. The first one is the burger name, so I'm gonna do that, the burger name. The second one is a callback that takes two error again. This is the error, and then this is technically the burger that's gonna come in. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say, all right, if there is an error, I'm gonna do this logic here and say, if there is an error, do this. I'm gonna send a message saying not able to add a burger. Then if there is not an error, I'm gonna do something different here. I'm gonna send the burger name that's coming in, which is gonna be the burger name that's coming in from the object right here. And after that, I'm also gonna send the ID of the burger. And this is how we get the ID by doing insert ID. By the way, we are referring to this burger and we're getting the ID that's coming in. And then we're gonna send is favorite tag to 0 because by default, SQL is sending this value like this. So we're gonna set 0 for false and 1 for true. This is how in MySQL is sending this value. All right. So once this is all done, the only thing we need to do now is inside this public folder, I'm gonna create a JavaScript files called JS. Within this JS, I'm going to add a file called app.js. And what this app.js is going to do is before we can do anything with it, we need to go over our layout, main.handlebar, make sure we are requiring this app.js over here. And this is going to be, the app.js is going to be able to receive, update, and do things with how we manipulate value with our handlebar. All right, so this one will be added, and then once this one is added, there's a couple of things that we also need to do. Get back to the index.handlebar, and we need to add a last thing, okay? And what we're gonna be adding is how to add a burger, which we just added this form. This is the form we added, and this is just having a div that has the input, and then this has a button that we're gonna select, try to click on. Okay, so once we have this form, and here's how it looks like now. This is how it looks like. We can technically feel free to type something, whatever we type, but there is no functionality attached to it yet, which we're gonna try to implement, okay? All right, so once again, into our app.js, this is where we're gonna try to add different functionality that will be handling this, get the value from the search bar. And once we add click, this will be sending those data to our server that has a route called add, and this will get the burger that we are sending, insert it into our database, and then if there's an error, do something. If there's not an error, do this. All right, here's our app files. We're gonna add some JavaScript inside of it. The first JavaScript that we're gonna be adding, we're gonna do a couple of things here. First thing first, we're gonna say, all right, on click. First thing first, I'm going to select a button where it has a type of submit. What I'm saying is I'm referring to this index. Let's try to put it side by side for you guys to see. All right, here's what I'm referring to. I'm saying when I click this button, and this button itself, let's see, no, not this button. I'm talking about this button. I'm saying when I click a button that has a type of submit, then do something. What do I want it to do? I need it to do a couple of things for me. First thing I need it to do is, first thing first that I also need to do is when I click this button, I don't want the page to refresh. I'm gonna disable that behavior by just doing prevent default false. And second thing is I want to get the burger name value that we just entered. To do this, I'm gonna refer to it over that input. And this input has a name called burger name, so we can target this input right there. Burger name, and that should be able to get the value of that burger that we are typing. All right, so once we have that burger name, we're gonna make an Ajax call, We're gonna pass it the URL that the server is waiting for, which is /add, and the method, which is post, and then the data that we are sending, which gonna be the burger name, that burger name. Now, one last thing to notice is make sure that this key is equal to how the server is receiving the value over here. I'm talking about the request.body that burger name. Make sure this key is equal to however you referring to. This is why we do request.body that whatever the key is to get the value. All right, so cool. After the burger, we're gonna do two cases. The first one is gonna be in case everything went right, and then in case something went wrong. All right, so now we need to define a function in case something went wrong and in case something went bad. Okay, so what I want to do before I go any further, let's actually see if our burger was able to successfully be added before I do anything crazy. Burger added, and then in case something went bad, we're gonna just alert burger was not able to add, something like that. All right, so let's see if our burger will be able to be added. Okay, let's call this one moving. Oh, burger added. That's cool, that's great, but we got an issue because our burger added, but we don't see it inside this page yet. What is the issue why that we are not seeing this burger? Let's refresh this page. If I refresh it, I'm now able to see my burger. But what if I wanted to instantly see the burger every single time that I added it? For example, when I add it here, I want to be able to instantly see the burger that I added. That's the behavior that I want. Well, we can achieve this by a couple of things. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a template of how this individual burger is going to look like. What am I talking about? I'm talking about this. This is what representing every single burger, okay? This is what is representing every single burger. Let me just have it here. So this is what I need to do. In order to do this is I'm gonna try to create a burger template that's gonna be representing this. So let's just call this one burger template, and that's gonna be a function. In that function itself, I'm gonna take two things. I'm gonna take the burger name that's gonna come in, and the ID, and then his favorite value. So I need these three values whenever I'm calling this function. Okay. All right. First thing first, I need to create this container, which is a div container. So I'm gonna go ahead and call this one burger container, and I'm gonna create this container. It's gonna be a div. I can just say, all right, this is a div, and ladies and gentlemen, boom, we just create a container. I'm gonna add some attribute over it because it sounds like it has a class, and after that, it has the ID of the burger. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna add a class, and this class is gonna have this class, so make sure we have it. And then it also has an ID, and the ID is gonna be the ID of the burger that's coming in. Okay, we have that. Cool. So we just created this div and this one. So let's try to create the image tag. How about that? All right, so I'm going to try to create the image tag. And this one's going to be the same thing. And I'm going to create the tag for it. This image tag, let's see how many attributes. It only has 2 attributes, R and C. So let's make sure this is an object. So RC, that's gonna equal to a default image. We can give it a link to the default image, so we can give it the same link. And then we're gonna create the alt, which is gonna be empty, so we just create the image. So we create the burger container, we create the image. What else? We need to create the P tag. The P tag sounds very easy. You can just call this one name of the burger because that's what the P tag is going to be. All right, and there you go. We create the name of the burger. And now what else? We need to create this button. We need to create this button with all these attributes. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Okay. It's gonna be an object. And then we can technically, create all these attributes. The first one that it needs to have is data.id, which is gonna set it to the ID that's coming in again. We're gonna set it a class, and that class is gonna be equal to btn default, and then favorite. As you guys can see, it also has a class called favorite that just for some CSS purposes, and it also has a data state, which we need the data state to do some further logic. And I'm gonna set it to is favorite that's coming in. So now once we have all of this, I'm gonna set up some value inside my name, not my name, the p tag. I'm gonna set some value into it. So I'm gonna do HTML, and I'm gonna set it the burger name that's coming in over here. This all might sound confusing, guys, but the bottom line is I'm trying to create the same template that I'm creating, not this one. I'm trying to create this same template as this. So it's technically having, we place this in that function and have this. That's what I'm trying to do. All right, so once I'm gonna add the value in the name, and also I'm gonna add the button name, and this button name is gonna be add to, what is the button name? For now, I'm gonna say add to favorite. Cool. And what else do we need to add value into? All right, so I believe we have everything. Now we can call the burger container, which is, this is the burger container. I'm talking about the div again. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna append everything inside of it. The first thing that I'm gonna dump inside of it is the image. So let's dump the image, this image inside of it. The second thing is the p tag. So let's dump the p tag inside of it. And the third thing is the button. So let's dump the button as well inside of it. And now I only need to make sure, once we dump everything, let's make sure we return that burger container, and that should be everything we need for this function itself. All right, so once again, we create a container, an image, a p tag, a button, and then we add in some value into it, and then we dump it inside a container. That's how easy it is. All right, so once we have this function now, remember, we're still talking about these two cases need to be handled. Yes, in case there's a burger. No, in case there's not a burger, or the burger was not able to be added. So I'm gonna create these two cases right now. I'm just gonna create a function called burger fails, and this one I'm gonna, instead of having this function, I'm gonna set this value here to equal to burger fails, which means whatever we have in here, that's what's gonna happen. All right, so the second one, I'm also gonna create a function. This function I'm gonna create, I'm gonna call it display new burger, and this whole job behind this function is gonna be to creating the new burger that we added, okay? And remember, our server send those new burger every single time that you create a new burger. Every single time that the new burger was successfully created, the server sent back those values. It sent the burger name, the ID, and is favorite to us. So within this function, I can copy this burger here, which is gonna be the burger that's coming in. And now we can start doing a couple of things. We can start getting the name of the burger by just doing burger name. And remember, that's from the server again. That's the value the server is sending. That's how we are getting those burger name. And then we're gonna get the ID again by just doing burger.id. Once again, this is the value that the server is sending. And we can get the last one, which is favorite, and once again the burger that is favorite. That's how the server is sending this thing for us. Now remember, we had a template. We're gonna do a variable called new burger, and now we're gonna call this template, which is this template, and that's gonna return us with this whole div that we created, and that's gonna consider for the new burger, and it takes 3 param burger name. So we're gonna pass it the burger name, the name, and we're gonna pass it the ID and is favorite. These are the 3 things that it takes: burger name, ID, and that should technically go ahead and create a new burger for us. And this is where we have it right there. And now the only thing that we need to do is, this is where we are adding every single burger. Like, we are adding every single burger inside this content. So I'm gonna select this content, which is this, and I'm gonna prepend, which means I'm gonna add those burger first. And what is the new burger is equal to this, okay? And now I'm gonna add this new burger. There's one last thing I also, oops, let's try that. All right, so that should be working as expected if there's no issue. Once again, guys, the only thing that we're doing is we're creating a template for the new burger, and on the case successful, we're gonna call that template, and we should be able to technically add a new burger to this content. Let's find out. Moving. There you go. You see now, moving was being added successfully on top. And let's say something like, this is great. And there you go. This is great was able to be added because of this whole scenario like this, and then our template like so again. All right, guys. So this is fantastic. But there's one last thing. When I add a new burger, you see this is still remaining. What if I wanted to clear this value? So let's do that as well. I'm gonna clear this value, and this value is now going to be empty. We can select that input. The input is equal to this. So we can just select a normal input. I don't think there's any other input. Let's just select input, and that should be able to clear this value after the new burger was added. Let's see. Testing, and there you go. The value now was deleted, and that was able to clear the input. Cool. All right, so let's find out. That's all great. We got everything that's going on so far. That's all looking good. Okay, we got our app.js looking good. All right, what else? This is let's add some comment. This is create a burger template. This is handle success case, and this is handle failures. Cool. And we call this function down here then and cache and so on. All right, so now there's a couple things that I also want to do. Once again, we are done now with the adding burger. So let's move on, right? Before we can move on, I'm gonna be adding a different thing. I'm gonna render this other route. So I'm gonna say, all right, over the all route slash all request that get, I'm gonna render the all burger like this, all burger. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing for the favorite. I'm gonna say it when the user go to favorite, I'm gonna render this favorite template handlebar. Let's find out here. I'm gonna say I am the all burgers, and then here I can do the same thing. I am the favorite burgers. Cool. All right, so let's find out. So we just rendered two route. If I go now to slash favorite, I should be able to see I am all the favorite burger, and if I go over to all, I should be able to see all burger, which is awesome. But what I really want over the slash all burger is I want to be able to see every burger no matter what happens, okay? And one last thing to mention too is that's fine. I think we can still use, we technically can use the same function over here. We can use the same function down here. Let's just copy the same function because this ORM select all is selecting every burger. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, let's find that out. Okay, cool. Now the only difference is over our style, instead of sending the index.css, we're gonna send the all.css. Okay, all.css. And now once again, I'm gonna copy some CSS code I had over all.css. You guys can feel free, this code will be available for you. Feel free to kind of go over and review all the CSS file. The reason I'm doing this, otherwise this will take hours just to kind of go over every single CSS property. All right, so here's the all route, and I'm selecting everything from our database. And if there is an error, again, I'm sending the same thing. And instead of rendering this, I'm gonna render in the all burgers. And that should be able to grab all the burgers again. Let's see. Of course, we haven't looped over anything because in our handlebar, we haven't done any looping yet. All right, so now let's head over actually inside our handlebar. we're gonna break them down into different things, okay? So first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna declare a class called all burgers. And this one I'm gonna have two things. I'm gonna multiply this one by, I'm gonna call this one favorite. I'm gonna multiply this one by 2, and one of them is gonna be on favorite. Cool, so we got two things, one on favorite, one favorite. So first thing first, I can add favorite burgers, and the second one is gonna be on favorite burgers, something like that. Now after this, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna loop over for the unfavorite one. I'm gonna loop over each. I'm gonna do each to loop over what's coming in, whatever coming in. We're gonna check it in a second. All right, what is coming in? Here's what's coming in. All the burger, a key called burger. So inside the all burger, we have a key called burger, which is an array. So we're gonna loop through it. There we go. We're looping over it now. After we loop over it, we're gonna define. We're gonna do a check. We're gonna say if. We're gonna do a check. All right, we're gonna say if is favorite. Let's see, which one is this? This is the unfavorite. All right, so this check should be, instead of an if, that should be an unless check, which is gonna check for false. We only wanna work with value that are false. That's what this is saying. And if this is false, then let me check. If this is false, then what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a div that has something called burger, and that also, we're gonna leave this one for now, that also has a data.id called ID. That's where we're gonna add this ID, and then we can have an image, and then after the image, we're gonna have a P that has the burger name, and then after the P, we can also has a button that has a class called btn and default, and then that also that should be good for now, and we can set the ID as something we were able to delete. So we want the user to be able to delete this, and then we can set the ID again to equal to the ID that's coming in, and that should be everything we have for now. Let's see if this works. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, this is all the unfavorite one. And all right, so let's see. Let's make sure our CSS has been added. I don't see any CSS for now. And go back to all. Where is our handlers? There you go. It's not all that CSS. It's just all. Okay, that should now add our CSS. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. We have something like this. Okay, cool. Now, how can we do for this section as well? So we can technically copy the same thing. I'm just gonna go ahead and copy, guys, so you guys can see what I'm working with. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy this entire thing here. I can just copy this one here, and then I can do copy the same thing. I just break it down just for you guys to see what we were working with. Cool. And let's reload that. Oops. Okay, give me 1 second. The reason it's not looping, it's looping over result. That should be over burgers. There you go. That should be cool to go. And as you guys can see, we have all of this now is equal to unfavorite burger. Once again, the same thing that we did. We create this thing and add this image and add a burger, and then add this button as well and do the unless. And here we do the if statement for the is favorite. Okay. So we have everything good to go for the unfavorite. What if we were able to delete them from the unfavorite? Okay, what if we can do that? Let's actually build this delete feature in order for us to be able to delete it from the unfavorite. All right, let's head over our handler. All right, things are getting a little bit messy, but bear with me, guys. We almost done. Okay, we got the slash, and then we got the all, we got the favorite. And let's go here. We got this one. That's the add. So let's add a delete one. Okay. Okay, so here's how a delete one is going to look like. We're gonna over delete and have an ID called delete. So we're gonna set this ID, and now what we can do is we can say, all right, delete, let's grab that ID that's coming in, whatever ID it's coming in, and we're gonna get their value. What we're gonna do is we also not just I think we only need the ID for this case, because the only thing that we need from it is the ID in order for us to delete it. All right, so once we have the ID again, we're gonna head over. Remember, all our SQL query is being over the ORM. So we're gonna head over the ORM and add a delete feature. I'm gonna say delete one. Let's make sure. So this delete feature, I'm gonna call it delete one. And that's gonna have a function again. This function gonna have a callback, and this callback it's gonna be CB. But before this callback, we also gonna have an ID. And once again, we're gonna run the query that's gonna go ahead and delete this value inside our database. Okay, here's the SQL command. This is gonna go and delete from the table called restaurant, where the ID is equal to whatever ID is coming in. We run our SQL, and the same process with the callback again, as you guys saw. All right, so here I can head over where I have this delete thing, and on ORM that delete one, this one's gonna take the ID and a function as a callback, and that's gonna be the error, and then burger, but we're not gonna really use this value. We can say if there is an error, let's return the value. So if there is an error, let's do this. We're gonna say not able to add a burger. Actually, that should not be the message. That should be not able to delete a burger, because that's what we are trying to do. Okay, and then if there is not an error, we're gonna try to send the JSON ID. Okay, that's what we're trying to do. All right, so let's go over it again. So we're gonna try to delete one. We pass it the ID. If there's an error, do this. If there's not an error, then delete that. Okay, cool. Now, of course, we need to pass REST and record request. And now I can head over to my app.js again. That's gonna handle everything. And we're gonna add a section called delete section, and this is where we're gonna do a lot of things about deleting inside the app.js files itself. So this is where we're technically gonna handle the delete process of where things are going to be deleted. Okay, let's head over here. Let's put this one side by side again, and let's focus on how we're gonna use Handlebar to select things. Okay. All right, so first thing I want to do is, when we look at this, there is a class. Let's see if we can find it out. There is a class called allBurger, and then after that we have something called burger, and then we have our button. This is just to make sure that we are clicking the right button. So we're gonna say all that burgers, and then we're gonna select the class burger, and then select our button. We're saying on click. When you click on this, then do something. Okay, cool. All right, when we click on this button, what do we want to do? First thing first, any button we want to click, we want to get the ID. And this is gonna refer to any button that we click. For example, if we click on this button, whatever data attribute that it has, it will get the value of the ID that's coming in. So we need to get this value of the ID here. All right, so once it get the ID, what do we want to do with it? We want to make an AJAX request again. I'm gonna do URL. We're gonna start the value, the location is equal to / and then we give it the ID like this. And then the method is going to be equal to delete. And once again, we're going to do our .then, which is in case the operation was able to be deleted, and in case the operation was not able to be deleted. All right, so what do we want to do in this case? When the operation is delete, I want to remove the burger from the list with the same issue we're having of the burger list not being updated. So I'm going to define a function here, and his only job is to delete is to remove the burger from the list. What I'm talking about is when you click delete, it will remove it from here. Let's see. All right, the burger is gonna come in, and then within this burger, we're gonna grab the ID. What I'm talking about is the handler is gonna send the ID of the burger. So we're gonna grab that ID, and then we're gonna, use jQuery to remove some element. What is the element we want to remove? Once again, let's go over all the burger. And then what do we want to remove? There is this div which is contain the burger. Then we want to remove this entire thing. It's like this entire thing that contain the burger, and it has an ID called data attribute. So I can technically do this. Instead of having this, I'm going to use some ES6. Do this instead, and now I can quickly pass it the ID as the pound sign. So this will technically select the burger and select the ID. Or to just make this a little bit more clear, we could do this instead. We could say, all right, select the burger where the data ID is equal to this ID. How about that? That might be easier to work with. Even remove this. There you go. So we said, all right, select all the burger. We said, all right, select within this list, and then look for a burger that has the data attribute as this ID. So whichever ID that we are getting, we're gonna remove the right burger. And this is everything that we need to do. And let's add this case in case everything went well. And of course, in case if everything went wrong again, we can run a function that just say remove burger fails, and that should technically display we were not failed deleting burgers, something like that. And that should be everything we should need for deleting a burger into our all burger list. All right, let's try that. Let's delete this burger. Oh, failed deleting a burger. Something happened. Let's find out what happened. Okay, network tab. Let's try it again. Oops, sorry guys. All right, there you go. Something happened. Failed to delete the burger. Let's see what happened. We got no response back. Nothing back. Let's see the request. So it said it's trying to delete. It goes to this route, but it got no response back. And delete. All right, so go back over our handlers. Okay, so we had an error here, which was not defined. Error was not defined. All right, let's try to refresh the page again. All right, so let's try the operation one more time. So let's press delete. Okay, hold on. Let's see. I think it's working now. Let's find out. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it's now working, and also removing the element down this as well, which is pretty cool. And now if we head over to the main page, we should not also be able to see that as well. Cool. This is working as expected. Fantastic. We can delete it. If I go back to the home page, should be able to see this as well. So the only functionality we have left now is add this to the favorite tag. But before we do this, what about if we had a header? Something that could, help us navigate back and forth between the application. So let's do that. We're gonna create a folder called partials inside of view. Within that partial, I'm gonna create something called header.handlebars. And this one itself is gonna contain our headers, which means we can use that header to gonna navigate wherever we want to. Okay, and then I can technically paste some HTML, which is just a navbar that's gonna link to every single page, the home page, the all page, and then the slash about favorite page. Now the only thing that I need to do is make sure over the CSS files, the main CSS, I'm gonna add some CSS to it, which gonna technically just lay out our header tag. This is gonna lay it out and have it fancy looking, and we want this to every single layout. Remember, the CSS is being created dynamically, but we want this everywhere. So I can add an extra CSS and statically refer to it as main.css, and this will technically be able to get this CSS no matter what. And now if we refresh this page, let's see what happened. I think we're missing something. Okay, I added this one here. Oh, because we haven't imported. Okay, good. I see what we're missing. All right, so we're creating our header partial. We're creating our header partial. The only thing we need to do now is every single place that we're using this, let's make sure that we import this partial. To do this, we do that, header. And then I can do that for every single places, included this one, and included this one, even though it doesn't have anything to do it yet. Refresh that. We should be able to see our burgers here. We can go to the favorite, can go to view burgers, and we can go to home and different pages, so on. All right, so let's review everything we were able to do. We're able to add a burger, which you can say testing, and we're able to go over the view and delete this burger. Okay, now what we really want to do is we want to be able to download burger. Let's just say download. What we want to do is we want to be able to add this burger into our favorite tag and be able to see it here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna head over our handlers, and remember this was for delete. I'm gonna add another one that's gonna be updating our database, because by now every burger has a value inside our database called isFavorite, and this isFavorite is set to false. We want to be able to update that value and make it equal to true, which means this is considered as your favorite burger. Okay, that's going to be the goal. Okay, and now we're gonna need a couple of things. We need the ID that's coming in, and also we need a value as well. The reason we are defining a value is because we want to have it two ways. We want not only to have the add to favorite, but if it was already in the favorite, we wanted to be able to unfavorite it, like favorite it and unfavorite. That's going to be the two value that we want, and that value is going to be coming as false or true, okay? All right, so let's get this ID here. We're gonna also get the value, which gonna be equal to request.params, that value. All right, so what do we need to do? We're gonna set up inside our ORM again. Inside our ORM again, go back to the ORM. Where is it? We're gonna add a new one, and this new one that we're gonna be adding, remember, all our database is going to be here to kind of help us with things and keep things organized. This one's gonna be update one, and this one's gonna itself take two parameters again, an ID and a callback, and we're gonna technically copy some query that's gonna help us query our database. And there we go. And this one is going to delete from restaurant where ID is equal whatever it is, and we have our callback magic again that's doing the same thing over and over. And now if we head over to what we were working on, we can feel free to bring the ORM update one. This is it. We pass it the ID, takes a function, and this function takes an error, and then that's going to be, of course, the data that's coming in, whatever data is about the burger. All right, so let's handle the error cases. We're going to say, all right, if there's an error, we're going to do this, and if there's not an error, we're going to do this. And what we are sending, again, we are sending the ID back to the client. And this is technically everything that we need in order for us to start implementing the update one feature. So once we have that, we're gonna head over to the app.js, because this is the client. And now we also gonna head over to the not the all burger, the index.handlebar, because this is where we want the user to add them to the favorite, okay? And let's put that separately and focus over that functionality itself. All right, here, this is the delete function. And then the other thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna scroll up and add to favorite section. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do something a little bit different here. Instead of selecting, as you guys can see, instead of selecting a dynamic element, because this burger is gonna come dynamically to the page. So there's a trick on that. We're gonna say listen to the DOM instead of the element, and listen for any click on the DOM of this new element that got added. What are these new element? That new element has a class called favorite, and that's what we are listening for. So any new burger that get added, let me show you what I'm talking about. So any new burger, here's the button that's gonna clicked on to add it to favorite or not. So we are listening to those new burger that's gonna be added with the class of favorite, and we're gonna say, all right, when we clicked on them, do the following. And the first thing that we want to do is also we're gonna get the ID of whichever button that we click on. How can we get that ID? Let's see. Every button has a data attribute called data ID, so we can technically do this. That will technically get the ID of whichever button that we are clicking on. All right, so what happened when we get the ID? We also need to get the value that we are clicking on. What does that mean? Well, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Well, every single one of them, every single button has a state called is favorite. What does that mean? Let's actually inspect this and see how this look like. Inspect. All right, here's a content ID, and there you go. You see that? The data state is equal to 0, which means this is equal to false. If it was true, it will be equal to 1. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set up a different logic just to handle this case, okay? And our logic is going to be like this. We're gonna set up a condition, and this condition is gonna check the value. If the value is equal to 0, if it's equal to 0, we're gonna set the condition to false. If it's not equal to 0, of course, it's definitely equal to 1, and we're gonna set this value to true. So this condition is gonna set the will value based on that, if it's 0 or not. All right, so once we have this, then we can make sure that we can get our Ajax call. And the way we're going to get that Ajax call is, again, by doing this, we're going to refer to what is the ID. The ID is, in the case, is this ID, because that's the path that we are passing. And if we go back to the handler, this is what we are passing. We're expecting any ID and any value. All right, so here's the ID, and what is the value that's gonna pass in now? It's gonna be the condition that's gonna contain either true or false, okay? The condition is gonna contain either true or false based on what's happening. And what is the method that we are passing? We are passing a method called put, which is gonna be updating the database. Of course, every single Ajax has a that, then, and that catch, which is gonna technically the successful case, which means if we were able to delete to update it to true, or if we're not able to not update it to true or not. Okay. All right, so what else do we need to do? Of course, we need to create a function that will technically add the burger to the favorite. Now, what do we want to do? Once we add the burger to the favorite, we want to remove it in this location, because it will now be inside a favorite, so no longer to has this burger inside this this right here. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So we're gonna create a function. I'm just gonna go ahead and technically create a function, and this function I'm gonna create something called add burger to favorite. Cool. First, I need to get the ID of the burger that's coming in. What I'm talking about is the handler is now sending the ID for me. So I can just refer to it to that tag. And once I have this burger, then I can feel free to select it by the ID. And what am I talking about? Here's what I'm talking about here. You see that every burger which is content list has an ID over here. So I can refer to that by the ID and just remove this entire container. I'm talking about this entire one that I clicked on it. All right, and that should be the case. And once again, of course, if there is an error, we also want to handle the error case. This is for in case there is a successful case, I want to remove this burger. And in case there's an error, I want to alert just a message saying fails adding the burger to favorite. and let's see if that fixed the issue. All right, refresh this. Let's find out. Okay, we got an error. Let's see what happened. Error. We got cannot read property, no type of undefined. So we getting, oh, there you go. This one here should be getting the data state. This value should be getting the data state. So we were not getting the data state either, or 0 or 1. Okay. And click it now. You see it disappeared, but we should be able to see it under favorite. And of course, favorite, we were not displaying anything yet. That's okay because we haven't displayed anything yet. But if we head over the view all burgers, refresh this, something not right because I should be able to see everything. All right, so let's add a new burger again. Go over the view burger. I'm seeing it. And when I do this, I should be able to see it over it. We should be able to, oh, it's not in there. Well, let's find out. Everything seems right. Let's check our ORM and find out what's going on. You see that? So the update one has the same query as the delete one. So we should be updating this query because we want this one to have where it's updating the query, the database, not deleting one. And here's our query to do that. So we do update restaurant, set the is favorite with whatever condition that's coming in, and then where the ID is equal to the ID. So the bottom line is this also function should be taking 3 parameters. The first one should be the condition that's coming in, and the second one is the ID. So we were missing this, okay? So it should be the condition and then the ID that's coming in. So we are updating this table called restaurant where we're setting the is value to whatever condition that's coming in. And now back to the handler, this function should have the condition, which is this one should be the condition that's coming in. All right, and then we just need to be able to update that condition and also send the ID as well. So we're sending 3 params. And now one last thing, guys, make sure that you parse this to that might not, just in case, you know, if it's coming as a string. So make sure that we get this as a balloon and not a string. So highly recommend you do that. It's actually easy. Go to JSON.parse. You parse this value that's coming in to make sure that this is a balloon and not a string. Okay. All right, let's find this out now. If we head over home, we should be able to add a burger now, testing. And then if we add to favorite, we should be able to go to view and see it under the favorite. And of course, we can feel free to delete it. Things are working as expected. Let's add a couple burger, moving, great. I don't know what this is, or hard, whatever. All right, so we can add to favorite. And then if we go over the view all, we should be able to see everything. But there's one issue here. If we go over the home page, we are seeing everything. If we go over the view all, here's the favorite. The favorite is equal to heart. But if I go back to home page, I'm also seeing heart. So on the home page, I'm seeing things for the heart, for the favorite, and things, you know, that are not for the favorite. So I only want to see things that are not equal to favorite on the home page. In order for me to do that on the handler, again, where is the home page? The home page is over here. I want to do one query, and this query is going to be select by, and this is going to be selecting things by certain things that is true. And how are we going to run this query? Well, this query itself is going to take 3 param. One is going to be the condition. One is going to be the value, and of course our callback. What do I mean by condition? The condition is going to be, for example, when we do something like select everything, let's actually just show you guys how it works, okay? So when we do the query, select everything from restaurant, and here's our condition, where whatever it is that we want to do, for this case, it's going to be is favorite is equal to whatever value that we are passing it, okay? Select all by. Select everything by. And now instead of having select all, we're gonna replace it with select by, and we give it the value. The first one we wanna get is favorite, because that's the condition. We wanna update is favorite with where all of them is equal to false, okay? We only selecting every favorite where it's equal to false. Remember, this first param is equal to the condition, so that's technically equal to is favorite, and that's being used down here as is favorite. This is what this is saying, except it's much more dynamic. And now if we will load this page, we should be able to see everything and not the favorite one, which is fantastic. And as you guys can see, if I go view all burger, here's the favorite, here's the unfavorite, and we're good to go. Of course, we can delete them, but let's see. All right, things are looking really good. We can add things to favorite. Let's actually go over the favorite tab and focus on adding things into the favorite as well. All right, where's the favorite? Here's the favorite. So we're gonna do the same selection. We're gonna select everything. This one is going to be favorite. And the style we're gonna send is going to be the favorite style. Let's see, favorite, yep. All right, so what about this condition? What should it be? All right, instead of, if we're pulling things from the favorite, so we should be, just saying not able to query the database by favorite, like an error message, something like this. All right, things are looking really good, and we are sending, instead of select all, we want to select all by, and then we're gonna set the value we want to select for, where is favorite is equal to true, and we can set here's is favorite is equal to true. And let's try that out. And of course, we don't have anything that is looping over the is favorite, so we can copy something from the index handlebar. And actually, let's just, instead of copy something from the handlebar, we can just, of course, we definitely know we need a header. Hold on, let's close a couple of things here. Okay, so go back to favorite. We definitely know that we need a header. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add this one here, and the only thing that I'm missing down here is of course to display the burger. Oops, sorry guys. All right, so to display the burger, I'm gonna head over the index when I'm displaying this burger. Here, I'm just gonna copy these lines of code right there. Like this is technically doing the same thing over and over. Cool, how about that? That's it. And let's try it out and so let's see if that works. That should be able to display all the favorite burger unless we are missing something. Of course we are. Head over the handler and we are sending the burgers, and it's looping over burgers. Cool. And let's try that out again. And ladies and gentlemen, of course, we are looping over burgers, but our CSS is a little bit messed up. All right, so let's add some CSS we had already predefined for the burger. And let's add these guys over the favorite. And let's try it again here. And there you go, guys. We have our burger like so. Now check this out. Not only we have it, but the way that we build the app.js functionality under the add favorite section, remember where we said, all right, we're gonna check the state. If it's 0, then we're gonna set it to true. We are sending this condition to our server. Now be mindful, there's something else that we added. Okay, we added an exclamation point. And why do we add this exclamation point? That means if the value is equal to 0, which means this is equal to false, the state is already is equal to false. Well, when we updating the state, we don't want to send the false again. We want to send it the opposite of false. And this is what allows us to do. This is going to say, all right, if it's false, then send the new value to be equal to true. And if it's equal to true, then send the new value to be equal to false. And now we can also feel free to click this one, and also this one actually on favorite the burger. And now if we go back to the home page, we should be able to see it back to to the favorite, and of course we can feel free to add a favorite, add it to favorite, and go again to favorite tag. We should see two of them because that's the two we added, and unfavorite it, and there you go, guys. We should be able to see them back to the home page and see this all burger as well to the favorite page as well. All right, guys, this is everything I had for you. Of course, there's more cleanup, there's things for us to do, but if there's any comment, if for any reason this is not working for you, the code is also available. I'm also going to be adding the queries into a folder called DBs, where you can technically go ahead and run this query to create your database table, to make sure that you have, I can just call it schema.sql, and head over my database and technically query this table for you guys to have the same table as I am, and you can technically follow along moving forward as well. But the code is also available, everything is available. Definitely check them out. But if you guys enjoy this, feel free to leave a comment. I know this might be a lot, but I try my best to copy and paste as much code and kind of explain as much as I can. If there's anything that I forgot explaining, please leave a comment and I'll insert to them as soon as possible. Thank you guys, and you guys have a good day. Bye.